Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I am super excited for this video today because I am talking about one of my most favorite manifestations to date. Definitely top 3. Manifesting my dream luxury high-rise apartment in New York City against all odds. And by odds, I mean my bank account, my circumstances, my living situation at that point, and a whole lot of other mess. So if you want to know how I was able to manifest this, the different techniques that I use, how long it took, and everything else, stay tuned. But before we get there, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel for more content on manifesting our desires and leveling up in life. So here's the backstory. In 2017, I quit my corporate job. I was working at Essence Magazine and I quit so that I could focus on my business, Official Black Wall Street, full time. I was living with my college roommate at that time and decided to move back home just to have that extra cushioning. And my home situation was cool. Like, I get along so well with my family, so there wasn't an issue there. But of course, like, I still wanted my own place. So after a couple years, I'm just like, okay, this was cool. This was really cool. I want to experience the next thing. Like, I want my own place. Now, for those of you who live in New York City, you know that New York City rent is no joke. So with the money that I was making through my business at that time, I could not afford NYC rent. Maybe Kentucky rent, but not NYC rent. But I still wanted to manifest this. Given my limiting beliefs at that time and my focus on the 3D circumstances, I thought the only way that I could manifest this thing was through the affordable housing lottery system in New York City. So I began applying to different apartments there, and I'm getting excited because I truly do believe that I'm going to get this thing. And as you know, when you start manifesting things, or you're starting to, you put the intention out there to manifest something, you start seeing that thing everywhere. So everywhere I looked, there was something about the affordable housing lottery system and new apartments, moving into a new apartment, all of that jazz. I remember I had even found this apartment that I love. It was downtown Brooklyn, or in the Fort Greene area. I even went to the location and walked around it just to get myself into the feeling of living in that area. And I remember the address, like the number address was like an angel number. It was a repeating number. So I'm like, oh, this is a sign. This is definitely the spot. Like, this is the one. And so I had my heart set on this particular apartment. I still remember the address. During the end of 2019, I was like, you know what? Let me get super clear on exactly what I want in an apartment. So I did this journal prompt and I began writing a list of all the different things I would want in my dream apartment. So that included, like, I wanted floor to ceiling windows. I wanted to have a view of the city from every single room. So from my living room, my bedroom, I wanted to have a beautiful view of the city. I wanted a gym in the building, a rooftop deck, a lounge area. I wanted to have enough space to be able to have like a little dining room area. I put everything in there. Things that at that point in time seemed so far away and seemed absolutely impossible because I did not have the funds for a place like that. I also began doing SATs, which stands for state akin to sleep. So visualizing right before I go to bed, when you're in that drowsy mood and, your whatever it is that you're telling yourself or whatever it is that you're visualizing, your logical mind is not saying, hey, that's not possible. Hey, that doesn't, here are all these limiting beliefs and circumstances as to why that's not going to happen. This is a time when that part of your brain is a little bit quieter. Whatever you're feeding your subconscious at that time is able to permeate and, get through those limiting beliefs. And so I would visualize mostly in the morning, because at night I would just fall asleep most times. So most times in the morning, I would visualize a scene. This was a very simple scene. I would visualize myself in bed. And in this visualization, there were 3 things I was trying to manifest. 1, that dream apartment. 2, my man. And 3, my dream body. So in this visualization, or in this imaginal scene, I was laying in bed and waking up in the morning. And I literally, in the scene, would just wake up, walk out of my bedroom into my living room, and there was a full-length mirror. So I would look into this full-length mirror, and more specifically, they say that feeling is the secret. And for me personally, it's not always oh my gosh, I have to feel like excited. I have to feel some emotion. You don't. You just have to feel yourself in that scene, feel it real. And for some people, that could be hearing a voice say, hey, or someone, a familiar voice saying, hey, congratulations on the apartment. For me, that doesn't do much for me. For me, I like to feel myself into the visualization. It gives me something to anchor myself into that imaginal scene. And so, I'm in bed and I look to my left, I see my man sleeping peacefully, and I imagine myself slowly pulling this white comforter off of me and walking out the room and paying attention to the detail. So I'm feeling, these covers, and I'm feeling the coldness of the covers as I'm pulling them off of me. And I'm stepping onto my hardwood floors and I'm feeling the hardwood under my feet. I'm getting to the door and I'm pulling the handle doorknob and opening the door. And I'm feeling the metal again, the cold metal of the handle, as I'm pulling it open. These are the things that really grounded me and made me feel like this is real. Like I could feel myself into this scene. And that is how I manifest all things if I'm using visualization to help me feel it real. So that is what I did to visualize it. Next, I acted as if. So I began preparing for it. I knew that I was going to move into this apartment. And so I began shopping for it. I knew, and this was the fun part. I enjoyed this so much. Like I would go online and I would imagine what my decor would look like, and I would save, inspo pictures on Instagram. I remember I went to one of my homegirls' apartments in Boston at that time, and she had this beautiful blue velvet couch. And I was like, oh, I want that couch. So I saved it. I got the couch. It broke in 2 years. Rest in peace to that couch. First, I would go online to different furniture stores and I would start looking through and saving pieces of furniture and art and decor that I wanted in my future apartment. And I would start purchasing some of them. And this was when I had no prospects. I still didn't have enough money to buy the apartment that I would want or rent the apartment that I would want to rent. But I began preparing for it ahead of time because I knew that it was coming. So by the time I was ready to start, looking for an apartment, and I'll get to that in a second, I knew the exact layout of the apartment that I wanted. I knew the color scheme that I wanted. I knew, the colors that would be in the kitchen versus the living room versus the vibe I want in the bedroom. Child, I had all of it figured out. Fast forward, we're now in 2020. My business completely goes viral. It goes viral. We are getting so many sales that I'm literally overwhelmed. Like I cannot keep up. I have to tap on my friends so that they could help me just make ends meet at that time because it was an amazing problem to have. On top of that, I was getting featured in so many different places. I was featured in Forbes a number of times. I was featured in Entrepreneur Magazine, Essence Magazine, Fortune, all these different publications. I had celebrities following my company pages and promoting us as well and sharing us on their platforms. It was crazy in the best way possible. Just a lot of work. I remember I would wake up in the morning and I would immediately open my laptop and start working. And there were times that I would even forget to eat. Like it was that busy for me. My business completely took off. And so I looked up and at some months had passed and I'm like, oh my God, I am making more than enough to finally pay myself what I am worth and be able to afford to live in a place like this easily and still, So I was super excited during this time. So I'm looking at different apartments and, different luxury high rise apartments in the area that I wanted to live in Brooklyn. And I remember there were three that I saw in particular. The first two, the layout was a little wonky on the second one. The first one I remember, the layout was a lot smaller. It was similar to the one in my visualization, but it was just tight. It was much tighter. It did have a nice clear view of Manhattan and the Manhattan skyline. The second apartment didn't have the city skyline view that I wanted. It only had the Brooklyn, view, and I wanted the city. So then this third apartment building came up and I went to go see it immediately. And the moment that I set foot in this place, I was like, oh, this is it. I have to have this apartment. I literally looked at this lady and was like, can I apply for this today? what do I have to do? Like, I wanted this. It was just, it felt like home. It felt like comfort and home. Like I had been here before, like it was meant to be. So I ended up getting that apartment. Here is the crazy part. The layout of this apartment, down to the doorknobs, this one was the exact same layout. The only difference between the apartment that I visualized and the one that I actually manifested was that the one I manifested had 90-degree floor to ceiling windows. The one in my visualization or my imaginal scene only had one wall of floor to ceiling windows. So it was even better than I could have imagined, especially being that I thought the only way I could live in a place, even a fraction as nice as this, was through the affordable housing lottery system. Here's the crazier part. It gets better. So, when I was in the process of applying for this apartment, I got an email from the affordable housing lottery system about an apartment building that I had applied for. So, I was able to manifest that and better, which is why after this experience, I have begun adding this or better to my affirmations or when I'm praying for things, because you really never know. And this situation taught me two very important things. One, circumstances do not matter. They don't. And it happened against all odds. When I first had this desire and began manifesting it, I did not have the money to move into a place like this. I did not have any prospects, and I wasn't able to see any routes for me to get to that place outside of the affordable housing lottery system, because our view of life is just so limited. Number two, the second lesson I learned is do not limit yourself and do not limit God. Again, I limited myself in this and focused on the how in the very beginning instead of focusing on the end result. Once I shifted that, and instead of focusing specifically on manifesting this affordable housing thing, that was when things started happening for me. So when you're manifesting things, be sure that you are thinking of the end and not thinking of the means to the end. You are thinking of how you're thinking of the car, the dream car, not winning the dream car, not being able to pay for it, because you never know how things will pan out. You never know how the bridge of incidents is going to unfold. If I had been dead set on the fact that, hey, this can only happen this way, I would not have been able to manifest the apartment of my dreams. And I remember the same apartment I mentioned that I thought I wanted from the affordable housing lottery system, where I was like walking around the, building and really praying for that apartment and getting into that one. Compared to what I got, oh, hands down, I would have chosen the same. Our view of life is so limited. We're only able to see from like a 3D logical standpoint, but God is limitless. We are limitless beings. So you never know how things can come about. Things can happen suddenly and harmoniously. So you don't want to focus on the how and limit yourself to one way of getting a thing or one means to an end, because from our standpoint, it's like, okay, the only way this can happen is this way. But God, creator, has this bird's eye view and can see like, okay, if I move the chess pieces in this way, she can get what she wants much easier and much quicker, but you would not be able to see that path. So do not focus on the how, focus on the what that you are trying to manifest. So you're not limiting yourself. Perhaps the way that you think things will go will take longer, or you just won't be as fulfilled with the thing that you want versus with something better. So that said, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, definitely let me know in the comment section, and let me know your top 3 manifestations thus far and what you're working on manifesting next. Thank you so much for joining. Be sure to subscribe and hit that like button. I will see you in the next video.